You can't just say, I'm a changed person. I made mistakes in the past and now I'm good. No, bitch. You have to prove it. Prove yourself and change and then come back to me. But until then, bye.
Joey Zauzig, welcome to POVz. You are a ray of sunshine and it's so great to have you. We are honored to have you.
And finally meeting you. I'm so excited.
Absolutely. And I want to start off by saying you and I have a whole lot in common, even though we just met.
We do.
We both grew up our whole lives in a small town, feeling a lot different from our friends. And I want to dive into your story and I can't wait to go deeper. But we start off every episode with a controversial question. So you ready?
I'm scared.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Question 1. Do you think it's possible to be fully, truly your authentic self online?
Yes. I think that it takes a lot of hard work and I think that it takes a lot of digging, but I don't think that you're fully your best self online until you're fully your best self offline. So I think it takes a lot of like work outside of social media because you just can't keep going and filming and being this like authentic person online when you don't really know who you are outside. And I think that a lot of people get caught up in that, trying to be this person and create this character. And then you get offline, you're like, wait, that's not really me.
So it has to match your offline and your online self.
Has to match. And, you know, people grow up, but I think that like when you are who you are, it always comes back to bite you in the ass because you always, you know, people see through it eventually. You can only keep up a facade online for so long.
Is there any part of Joey that your followers don't know?
I think the part of me that people don't really know is like everyone thinks I'm like this really super confident person. And the truth is it took so long to get here to be confident at all because I had zero. And, you know, I think like everybody else, I have those days where like I wake up and I'm full out of body experience. Like I just don't even recognize myself in the mirror. And those days are really scary. And it's hard to talk about that online because not everyone deals with that. But that's something I feel like a lot of people don't know that I deal with and struggle with. And I think it all stems back to like my childhood and what I dealt with that I'm still dealing with.
I think we all are to some degree. I think our childhood stays with us. And let's go back to that place. Growing up in Virginia, where did it all start for you? What was that first moment you remember where you started to come into your own?
I think the first moment was kind of like when I told my mom not to tell my dad that I was gay, and she told him anyway.
How old were you?
I was summer going into 12th grade. So like summer between 11th and 12th grade. And I was like very confused because I was dating girls. I was still liking like having sex with girls, but I had just started to experiment with guys. I was like, this is way better, honey. So
and also at one point you had a fake girlfriend, right? On MySpace?
You did your research. Oh my
Of
God,
course
how did you know that?
I mean, you talked about it in your coming out video.
Yeah, so I was so desperate to be liked. And like before I came out, I switched schools 3 times just because I was getting bullied so much. And I went to like a very conservative Catholic high school and I created this like online account. And the plot twist was her name was Brittany and I modeled her after Britney Spears. And like, it was kind of creepy actually now that I think about it and it's embarrassing, but I like created this girl, she's blonde, really hot, like found her like MySpace and just like created a new one and was like, no, this is my girlfriend. She goes to another school. You don't know her. And you know, the bitch didn't exist in my life.
Brittany's gonna love that.
And Brittany's gonna love it because I was like Brittany, because I was obsessed with Britney Spears, like growing up. And it wasn't because she was hot. I was like literally dancing in the mirrors, like singing her songs all day long, and I'm obsessed.
So was the moment for you thinking back to telling your mom?
I think the moment that I told my mom was the moment that I was accepting it to myself. It was on my birthday, and I remember like on my birthday dinner, I think it was like my 17th birthday or something. I was just like, I don't know who I am. Like, I don't feel like I can be myself around my family. And if you can't be yourself around your family, like, what was the point, you know?
Yeah.
And I hadn't told any of my friends yet. So that's when I just called my mom. I was bawling, crying. And I just like told her, I was like, I'm gay, period. And I didn't give a fuck if she cared or if she did it. I just needed to get it out and feel like I could be like who I was. And it felt really good.
It's amazing.
And then I was like, don't tell dad. Cut to, I go and tell my dad like the next day. And my dad's like, I know your mom already told me. I'm like, oh God. The plot twist was like my dad kind of always knew. You know how they say a mom always knows?
Always.
It was a weird situation, but my mom was so happy. The only person that had trouble with it was my sister, which is really wild because she was so accepting, but my sister was just confused and upset that I didn't tell her first.
And what else do you attribute that to? Do you think you ever felt shame around your identity because of forces like your school or society? Where did that come from where you think it took until 12th grade to come out?
I think I just was dealing with understanding what it was and what I was feeling because I was like, am I bisexual? Am I gay? And that's another controversial topic is being bisexual. Like technically I'm dropping this on your show only, but
Please.
technically like I still am attracted to girls sometimes. Like I'll still have sex with a girl. But me being so flamboyant and Joey, like if I told someone I was bi, it's not really fair because they'd be like, yeah, right. Like you're definitely gay. But like back in the day, I was like, wait, am I just bi? Like, am I gonna grow out of this? Which is so like annoying to even think. But I really thought it was like maybe a phase. And then I got to the point where I was like really like into fashion and I was like really just kind of like dug deeper into the whole queer community. And I was like, no, this is definitely me.
It's awesome to hear that that's still a part of your identity today, because I think you're right. A lot of people discount the bisexual experience and think that you should just pick one or the other. So
Totally.
it's a whole other conversation.
It's a whole other conversation, but love is love. And like, you should just like, who gives a shit if they have like a vagina or a dick or whatever. Like if you like the person and you love the thing, then sex is good, honey.
Continuing on just a little bit longer in your childhood, when you think back to going to that school and being a part of your community in Virginia, did it feel like an echo chamber?
I think it definitely was an echo chamber. And I just felt like I was like in prison. Like I couldn't get out. And every time I would try and open up to someone, it would always go back to the same conversations and the same beliefs. And it was like going to like, I don't know, it was like a cult almost.
Wow.
My voice has always been part of my identity and like it's always sounded like this. So everyone's always kind of like assumed that I was gay, which like wasn't ever fair. But deep down that everyone thinks that you're gay, even though I didn't even know. So being there, it's like everybody had the same thoughts. And then like my girlfriends were like supposed to be my friends, but everyone was just so desperate to fit in. So
wow.
It was kind of fucked up because like behind my back, they would talk shit and, so I kind of felt like completely alone.
Did you also feel ashamed of your sexuality at that time?
Yeah, and I think I took on a lot of the like pressure that my girlfriends might have been under from like the football guys and the sports guys. Because like to hang out with me, I felt came with like some backlash for them. And like the way that I work as a person, which is a good and a bad thing, is like I always take on other people's stress. And I felt like for them, they wanted, we were in middle school, high school, like they wanted to fit in. So they didn't feel like they could like stand up for me.
Yeah.
Which those are shitty friends.
Absolutely. And would you consider yourself to be a religious person?
Fuck no. I am definitely open to every religion and I'm open to hearing people's opinions, but I don't go any which way. I don't like believe in a certain, religion per se. Yeah.
Do you think religion is something to blame for why people have different views on gender and sexuality?
I think people are to blame. I think that like in general, like if you're going to believe this stuff and if you're going to believe something, or if you think that something should be a certain way because you're listening to someone tell you it should be, that's a you problem, girl. Like you got to like figure it out for yourself because you're just going along with the masses. And like I don't ever want to be associated with someone like that. Like have your own brain, have your own opinion.
Would you say the same for bullying?
Yeah, I mean, I think that like people gang up just because they want to, be friends with usually the most insecure person. The person that's bullying you usually has their own shit that they're trying to work out.
Yeah.
And in high school, everyone becomes so fucking impressionable and like it gets sad. And that was hard for me because I wanted to be liked so bad. I was so desperate to be liked and popular. And then like, I also wanted my friends to be popular and liked. And so it kind of was just like, maybe if I just didn't exist, it'd be easier. Maybe if I wasn't around, my other friends could have an opportunity. Like I didn't care about myself at all. And looking back on that, it was like the darkest times of my life were around other people, if that makes sense. It was like, it's just fucked up. And really it's like, fuck what everybody else thinks because you only live once. And like, why are you trying to make other people happy that don't give a shit about you at the end of the day?
Completely. And thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry you went through that. Bullying is sadly a universal experience. I feel like everyone has one point or another where they've been made to feel less than. And in those moments when you were getting bullied, how did you make it through?
I didn't have any support system, but I was able to have conversations with like some of my girlfriends and I was able to open up to a certain extent. I became a loner, but I went out to DC and like went to the gay clubs and like found my new community and found like the people that accepted me and like created my own little family. And I think that that's what the queer LGBTQ plus community is. It's really opening up and like finding an own family, because I didn't feel like I had any of that. I was alone and I felt like I had to find a new family. And that's what the gay community did for me. And like going out in DC, I was experimenting, I was having sex, I was doing all types of stuff. I was drinking, and like it was a really eye-opening experience that helped me find who I was and what I wanted to be.
And I'm happy you found that community. I think a lot of times people don't know where to turn.
Exactly.
And I'm glad you found a group of people to be another form of family.
And
It's
back
huge.
then there was no social media. There was no one to look up to. And that's kind of what I do now, is like, I think that now it's easier to have role models online. That's why you got to keep it authentic. And like when we talked about this in the beginning, is like a lot of people try and be this person online and then things come out. And I'm like, you know, the people that really know you always know that's always been you. You can fool the people that are new, but you can't fool the people that have always known you. And that's what makes me, you know, weary about some of the people that go online and try to be these role models, because it's not
Right.
authentic. And you meet them in person. You know that saying that like you never want to meet the person that you look up to the most? That is so true, because a lot of times you meet someone, it's not you don't get what you think you're gonna get.
Super interesting. I definitely haven't met mine yet, but I feel like that is what would happen.
It is.
And I know another big part of your upbringing was what you mentioned, the divorce that you experienced. And I remember hearing in one of your other interviews or videos you've created that you had to serve as the support system for your sister and your mom.
Yeah.
Did that force you to feel like you had to grow up at a young age?
I mean, yeah, in a way, because right when my parents got divorced, like my sister and my mom were having these issues, and then my mom got epilepsy. We were like moving out of a house that they just built, like there was money involved, and then my mom got epilepsy. My sister was like really kind of siding with my dad and like over at my dad's house. So I was really like having to take care of my mom, and like my mom was under a lot of stress is when, you know, she was having seizures all the time, and I would have to like call the ambulance and like help her. Like it was a crazy time.
Wow.
So like I was really kind of like the person that was there for my whole family to kind of pick up the pieces. And I didn't know what any day was going to bring.
And thinking about where you are now, to what extent is the life that you're building either the inverse or the reflection of what you experienced growing up?
I mean, I think that I'm trying to get exactly away from what I grew up with, but I'm also trying now to do this new thing where I'm not trying to push back my upbringing, and I'm trying to gather the things that have happened from the things, you know, from my experiences. And instead of being like, I don't want to be anything like my parents, I don't want to have anything to do with the life that, because it was a part of me and it did bring me to where I am. It brought me to New York, and it brought me to being my best, most authentic self, which is still a journey. But I think the best advice for anybody is to like, don't hinder and like try and close off the past. I think that it's good to try and take some of the pieces of that to build the future.
Yeah, you got to learn from it.
Period.
Yeah. And looking at where you are now, I mean, you've built this insanely huge platform where you are constantly empowering people from around the world on a day-to-day basis. Do you feel a certain responsibility to bring your entire self to the online space, or do you reserve any pieces of that for yourself?
You know, I've been doing this for 6 years. So like I've been filming videos of myself and like been basically on camera for 6 years. And looking and playing back videos of yourself every day, like it does get tough, because, you know, mental health is important. And to have good mental health, you have to take a step back from everything. Like friends of mine are like, oh, we're going to take a break on social media. I'm just going to take a break of social media. I don't have that. Every day I wake up, and to be honest, I think the first thing is like, what do I post on my story? What do I have on my story? What am I going to post on Instagram today? I have to do 3 or 4 posts. And it gets fucking crazy. And it starts to like go in your head. You're like, wait, what is like life? What is the day to day? It's like, it's the power that you have to snap yourself out of it that matters. And we all deal with that, but it's like how you do it. And to do that takes a lot of mental capacity. And then to go to events and talk to things and do interviews. And, you know, there's only so much of yourself to give, and you have to reserve a little bit of space for your personal life and a little bit of space for yourself.
But you do have the rep of being there for every single one of your followers.
I respond to all the comments.
Yes.
I try and get back to as many
How?
DMs.
And does that take a toll on your mental health?
In a way it helps, but in a way it makes me feel sad, and it kind of puts more pressure sometimes on myself to like make a difference and to help people. So I'm navigating it just like anybody else, but you're catching me at a time right now, to be honest, it's really tough, because I've been doing it for 6 years, and I'm trying to remember where this all started, and, you know, if I'm giving myself enough time to like focus on me and really do me for the future, because I love giving myself to people, but there has to be some time for me too.
Absolutely. How are you going to give yourself to others if you can't?
Oh, I don't
Be
fucking
to
know, girl.
yourself.
I'm like, we're just gonna have to figure it out at the end of the day, and I
Yeah.
know that I will. And I live by that motto of like just mindset shifts and believing in yourself. Like, if you tell yourself that you're gonna be okay, bitch, we're all gonna be okay. You're not gonna be down in the dumps if you don't let yourself be down in the dumps.
For sure.
It's the same with like a breakup. Like, there's a winner and a loser at the end of the day. Like, you don't want to be the person that's going to dwell on it for the rest of their lives. Like, I don't care if you're hurt. I don't care if you're upset. Eventually, you have to pick yourself back up. Otherwise, they're going to win and move on with their life, and you're going to be stuck in the same position, and you're not going to be able to fulfill the things you want to fulfill. And I've seen it happen to so many people. So
Right.
just remind yourself that it's all going to work out and everything's going to be okay.
Absolutely.
It sounds cheesy, but it's true.
And these are the types of things that you share in your videos that get me going. Like, that's what inspires me. I think you shared in a video recently, like, the things that are not working out for you won't work out unless they're supposed to. Something of that.
Bitch, they're not going to work out unless they're supposed to. And they're also, things won't leave your life until they teach you what you're supposed to be taught.
That's what I was talking about.
And that's something that I live by. I've been through like the most fucked up 3 really toxic, abusive, physically, verbally abusive relationships.
Wow.
So all these girls are like, oh, this relationship. I'm like, babe, you gotta go. Like, you gotta leave him. Like, when the time is right, things fall apart for the right reason. And if you dwell and you're like, oh my God, why is this happening to me? You have to be like, this sucks, but this is probably happening for a reason.
Do you think it's possible to stay friends with an ex?
No. And if it is, I think it's fucking weird. Like, I think that it's okay to keep in touch. You should always be friends with someone. There's no need to harp like negative energy, but I don't want to fucking go to lunch with you. We're not going to Cipriani. We're not getting mimosas. We're definitely not doing a brunch. Like, I don't want to hang out with you, but I want to be able to, if you spend years with someone, I think that unless you're a sociopath, you should always keep it copacetic and keep it real and just know that like you'll always be there for that person. One of my exes called me because his like best friend, who we both knew, passed away.
Wow.
And I answered the phone, I talked to him, and I was there for him, and that's it. Afterwards, he was like, let's get lunch. I'm like, hang out. I was like, babe, no. Like, I was there for you, and I feel bad, and I'm always going to be here if you need to call someone, because I knew that situation, but I don't want to like rekindle something. And that's an example of someone who's never moved on from me. Even if we broke up and he was a horrible person, I still want the best for everybody. I want him to move on.
I respect that. I respect your POV.
What do you think?
Well, I'm an optimist, and I would like to think that I could be friends with my exes, but have I remained friends with any of them? Absolutely not. I know that you're someone who can be friends with someone who thinks differently than you. So do you have a similar opinion to being friends with someone who has a different political point of view?
I think everyone needs to respect everyone's views, and I think everyone needs to just try and understand how someone could feel, even if you don't agree with it at all. But I think when you try and push your own beliefs on somebody else, that's where it becomes a really big issue. And that's what I have a problem with. I'll be friends with you if you are the most conservative person, whatever, but don't talk to me about it and don't try and change my views, because then we're going to have a really big issue. Like, I don't want to fight with you about politics all night. I don't really want to I don't want to hear about it. You have your views, I'll have mine. And if we can still be friends and you don't drain the living shit out of me energy-wise, and you don't, make me upset after we hang out, we're good.
I appreciate that.
But I don't want to, fight about it.
Yeah. I mean, our whole platform is about the idea of opening someone's mind, not seeking to change it. And I think when people have conversations, especially about hot topics, we feel like we have a responsibility to defend our belief to our grave.
To the grave.
And you can have your own views, but I don't think it's good when you try to convince someone else to come over to your side.
No, and that's the problem, because we're just going like this.
Right.
No one's kind of like intermingling.
And there's not a mutual respect.
No. And it's all about who you talk to, because like the open conversations are great until you get to the open conversation with the person that's like, you're like, the sky's blue, and they're like, no, it's green. And like, they won't fucking stop telling you that the sky's green. You're like, I'm looking at the sky and it's blue. But there's people like, they just love to argue.
Yeah.
And we all know people like that. And like, I won't be friends with people like that.
Are there any issues that you're completely unwilling to compromise on?
If you're a homophobe, you're probably not in my circle. You don't realize we're in this like bubble, unless someone is a homophobe. But I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But no one is in your circle that really like, you don't choose to be in your circle.
Right.
That's your problem. If there's people in your life then you're going to have to make that own sacrifice. I purposely will keep those people out of my life so I don't have to deal with her.
It's hard earlier in life though, because when you were growing up in your conservative echo chamber in Virginia, it was probably a different story. But now in this stage of life, we can pick our own people.
Period. Or you steal the Gatorade bottle like I did at Catholic high school to get kicked out so you don't have to see them ever again. Because my parents would not let me leave. So I stole a Gatorade bottle in front of the person. I was like, look at me. And he was like, what are you doing? You didn't pay for that. I was like, yeah, I guess you're going to have to kick me out because there's a no tolerance rule. And then they kicked me out.
How'd you have the courage to do that?
It got to the point where like the way that I was being bullied there was so brutal. Like I couldn't walk down the hall without someone calling me a faggot, someone mocking my voice. It was like, oh fuck, like I gotta get the fuck out of here because this is not working for me. And I was upset.
Yeah, and where you are now, you probably speak to your younger self a lot, and there's probably so much you want to say to your younger self. Do you believe people can change?
Yes, but I think that everybody has to change by themselves. I think like people get into relationships and like, I'm going to change this person. This person can be changed easy. Those people never change. Everybody has that friend, right? Like that they have that one thing about them that you know is just never going to change. You kind of just have to let it go. There's things about people you can let go and things about you that will break the friendship. But all of our friends, all of our best friends have that one thing that you're just like, okay, like this is just going to be how it is. You can make fun of them for it and joke around, but it's going to be part of them forever and it won't change.
Right.
But I think that people can change certain aspects about themselves.
And maybe not the core pieces of our identity. Because I think we encounter that a lot on our platform, right? We can't expect that people will change, but we have to have hope that people can open their minds and evolve.
We do. I know I made a lot of mistakes when I lived in New York and, lost a lot of friends. And those friends have somehow come back into my life. But those friends I owe an explanation to. And I opened up about who I am now. And you have to prove it to people. It takes time. Yeah. You can't just say, I'm a changed person. I made mistakes in the past and now I'm good. No, bitch. You have to prove it. Prove yourself and change and then come back to me. But until then, bye.
And where's your stance on cancel culture?
I don't believe in cancel culture and I think it's ridiculous. And I think that everyone deserves another chance. I'm one of those people who I want everyone to win. And I know that sounds like stupid, but I really do. I don't give a shit if I don't really hate anyone, but if I don't really like you or think you're annoying, or even if someone's a huge bitch to me, I still want you to do you, stay in your own lane and be successful. Because like, why would you want someone to fail? Because you can go hide under a rock if you want to and no one's gonna really care. Once you go through like a negative spree, it's up to you to come back.
What would you say to your younger self who was walking down the hallway being made fun of when you were a kid?
I would just tell my younger self to understand that everything's gonna be okay and to just be proud of who you are and be yourself and keep loving the way that you love and open your heart to everyone. And just know that there's gonna be bumps in the road, but every bump is gonna lead you to the fucking moon, and your personality and your wit and your charisma is the thing that's gonna take you so far in life. And be proud of who you are and don't be insecure, bitch. Wear the tank top, wear the teal shoes, bleach your hair blonde, buzz that hair, and don't give a fuck what anybody else thinks. And stop looking at what everybody else is doing and stop caring about everybody else's opinion of you.
Joey, I've only known you for an hour and you got me feeling so emotional. I feel so lucky to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
I feel lucky to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for sharing your story, for being you, and for really empowering our generation to be more vulnerable, to take action and take control of our lives, because it's more important to be our authentic selves.
Period.
Joey, this is my favorite part of POVz, where we're going to start bringing in different viewpoints from our larger Gen Z community. So keep an eye on your phone. We're going to send you some texts, and then I want you to read them out loud and react.
I feel like everywhere I go, I get bullied. I have no idea what to do, but it feels like being myself is just not an option. If someone doesn't like you or is bullying you, it's because they hate themselves. And you need to just know that you need to live authentically, because there's only one life to live, baby. And distance yourself from that person as much as possible. All you can do is live your life more authentically, and eventually you're going to be out of there because you'll be able to choose whoever the fuck you want in your circle.
That was an amazing response. I have a follow-up question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think we're going to see the end to bullying in our lifetime?
No. People are always going to be assholes. People are always going to be negative. There's always going to be people that don't agree with things that you say. And there's going to always be people that try to tear people down when they're doing well. Bullies come out of the woodworks 90% of the time when you're doing well. When you're killing it in life, people don't want to see that. So they want to try and pick on the things that they don't like about you or whatever to make you feel bad, to hope that you fall. To go through that, you have no choice but to thrive, because you have to be able to pick the better people, the people that uplift you. And that's about choosing good friends, and success is about surrounding yourself with those people. Period.
Absolutely.
Okay, I literally feel like everyone in my life is toxic. How do I find good friends?
I want to know the answer.
To justify that a person's toxic, you have to leave every time you hang out with them feeling like exhausted, like mentally drained. If you're willing to give your heart to someone, you better make sure that they're giving something back to you. Because if you just give, and they're just taking, that's toxic. The way to find better friends is to start keeping an eye on those things and opening up your heart to people and not giving too much, but seeing who's willing to give it back to you, who's willing to give you advice, who's willing to really understand and see like your point of view. And just to put yourself out there and not be afraid to make those new connections. Most importantly, you can't be afraid to be hurt or to get hurt, because the process of finding new friends and new relationships takes a little bit of adjustment, and it takes, coming across some shitty people. But the more shitty people you come across, the sooner you'll be able to just like weed them out from the very beginning.
Absolutely. Do you feel like you still have toxic people in your life?
Oh yeah. They're everywhere, bitch. Like you can't get rid of them. Like left and right. Like you turn around, you're like, toxic, like they're literally everywhere. Like, and they don't even know it sometimes. But I'm such a giver. Like I will give my heart to you on a fucking silver platter. But if I ain't getting something back, even like a slice of the heart, I don't want to fuck with you. It's like giving someone a meal and then letting you starve. Like I don't do that anymore. And I've been really good about distancing myself. But sometimes people have hard times distancing themselves from people. Like you try and not hang out with a friend. Like, why don't you want to hang out with me? Why are you ignoring me? I'm like, well, you're toxic, bitch. But you can't tell someone that. So you have to just kind of not feel bad and make up excuses and slowly but surely weed them out.
I'm so happy that you know how to draw the line. I definitely still struggle with that.
I think we all do. I say yes to way too many people, way too many times. And then you think that it's going to be great, right? You're like, let's hang out. Won't be that bad. And in your head, you're like, okay, I think this time's going to be good. I'm going to go in and sort of get attention. No, a toxic person is going to bring you down no matter what. You could go in with the best attitude, be the most positive, be the most uplifting, ask them all the questions, deal with their bullshit. And then you're just like, oh my God, this is why I don't like you.
Thank you for making me feel less alone, because I think you're right. A lot of people struggle.
I don't think we should promote body positivity. Why would you tell people that it's okay to be unhealthy?
Ooh, that's a hot take.
I have a big issue with this just because people don't think that men struggle with body image issues. No one ever talks about that. It's all about girls, and it's about the fitness girls, and then there's the girls that are like the really big rah body positivity girls. But when it comes to guys, we're not allowed to talk about being anorexic, bulimic, whatever. I was anorexic when I was growing up. So awful. Did not eat a fucking morsel of food for, I swear, 2 years.
Wow.
I lost 80 pounds. It was scary as fuck. And that is unhealthy. Being a bigger girl, being body positive on the internet is not a bad thing, because it's teaching you everybody has their different things. And some girls will kill themselves to diet and exercise every day. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, that shit does not make you feel good mentally. You gotta let yourself eat a little bit. Some people have different bodies. Just because someone's bigger doesn't mean that they're unhealthy. And I think that people are like, you should just eat better. Be more healthy. I think it's fucked up, because at the end of the day, you don't know everyone's situation. Body stuff in general for me is no one should just be fucking commenting on anyone's body. No one, should be judging if someone's too skinny or too fat or too. It's a difficult topic.
For sure.
I think everyone needs to stay in their own fucking lane. If you want to eat a fucking waffle, bitch, go for it. If you want to diet, go for it. But at the end of the day, it's not anyone else's business.
Yeah. And I appreciate you sharing that. I know health and fitness is a huge part of your journey.
Huge.
And why do you think some people do hold that belief that promoting body positivity is promoting unhealthy lifestyles?
Because people are stupid, and people just don't understand that there's other issues than just black and white. And there's other things that are just because someone's bigger doesn't mean they eat unhealthy. Just because someone's really skinny doesn't mean they're anorexic. Just because someone looks unhealthy doesn't mean that they are. Some people just fucking have different body types, different genes, there's a million reasons. And if you want to spend your day trying to figure out what those reasons are, go for it. But I don't. I want to, I go to the gym because I started when I was getting out of a really bad breakup and it made me feel good. It's part of my routine now. And I got a 6-pack on top of it and it was fucking amazing. But like, I didn't do it to set out to be like, I want the best body ever.
And do you like when people comment and compliment your 6-pack?
People don't want me to have a good body. When I get like, I go ebbs and flows. And when I like post having like a 6-pack, people are like, you're not relatable. Fuck you. We want you to be more like a normal person. Like people just are always going to have an opinion on what you eat, what you eat, what you do, how much you exercise. So you have to just do you at the end of the day. But nobody will ever just do them. That's the problem. So like you have to figure out how to deal with it personally.
Right.
Like I have to deal with, you know, I did set out one time, like my goal was to have the best body I've ever had personally for me, not what I see on Instagram. And I worked my ass off. I stopped drinking for 3.5 months. I was weighing my fucking food. I was strict, adamant, crazy. I went on testosterone. I went on human growth hormone. Got to the 4 months and I was like, I can't sit at another dinner without having a cocktail. People are too strict on themselves. And, you know, the body positivity conversation brings us up because it's just nobody's business. And I think that everyone needs to lighten up a little bit.
Life is too short.
No one should live in Virginia. Period.
That seems like a personal attack.
Virginia is great. I feel like this is like literally a personal attack on me, but Virginia was tough for me. By all means, go live in Fairfax, Virginia, honey. See if you love it. See if you thrive there. But that's not my life.
Is Virginia the best state?
Virginia is for lovers, but it's definitely not the best state.
What is?
Ooh, bitch. New York. California is a little too... I love California. This is going to be controversial. California is almost too chill for me with everything. I'm like, okay, we need to like hustle a bit. Like, let's like pick up the fucking pace. Doesn't need to take 10 minutes for a coffee. Doesn't need, like, you don't need to be like, oh, it's a yellow light. I'll just wait for the next green light and everyone behind me. Like people do that. People are like, oh, it's fine. I won't run through. Run the fucking light and let's get to where we need to go, bitch. LA for me is a little too much. New York, I think, has it all.
Yeah.
There's the chill. It's a good balance of the hustle and the chill. You can be whatever you want to be here.
I personally agree with you, but we'll see what everyone else has to say.
Can you only say period if you're part of the LGBTQ community? Always afraid I'm saying the wrong thing. I got, like, one of my videos just went like 10 million views, like something like that.
Casual.
It has like 500,000 likes. So of course the comments went crazy. And at the end of it, I say period. Everyone was up in arms that it's period. People are saying that it's like appropriation, like shit like that. I'm like, bitch, I've been saying period forever. Everyone can say period. Look at all the girls that recreate my videos, the thousands. If you go under like my original sounds on Reels on TikTok, there's hundreds of thousands of people that recreate my audio. Everyone's saying period. Period shouldn't be taken so literally, and a lot of people have a problem with it.
Yeah.
A lot of people think it's for Black people, and a lot of people think it's just for the LGBT community. It's not. It's not. It didn't originate off RuPaul's Drag Race. It didn't. It's just a funny fucking thing that means end of story, close the chapter, close the book, cut the cord, period.
Super interesting. Have you ever gotten pushback for any of the other things that you say?
Have I gotten feedback for anything that I said? I mean, I think that people definitely disagree with a lot of stuff. So there was a girl on, I won't even go into, I'm not going to give her a clout, but there was a girl that went on TikTok and like took all my AMAs, like Ask Me Anythings. She took so many of them and started to tear them apart, all my answers. I'm like, bitch, I didn't say I was Dr. Phil. Like, I don't know, like what I'm, like, I talk from experience. I talk from opinion. And she was not happy with anything I had to say. She took every AMA, and I do like hundreds of them, and like went face to camera and was just like, this isn't right. You should not say this. This is horrible that you would tell young kids to do this. And I'm just like giving dating advice. So everyone that's had problems with the things I've had to say has just been like overreacting, I think. And like, I would have loved if she would have done videos of her point of view, her perspective of the question. But to tear apart someone else's opinion is just like such a waste of time. And she was doing it for views. Like they were all her views were like starting to boost up, and she was gaining followers off my back. So she started doing it like every week. And, you know, that account got deleted though, honey.
Do you think Gen Z is too sensitive?
I think Gen Z is really like, a lot of them are pretending to be too sensitive because they want, you know, everyone wants to be on social media right now. You can't have this opinion. That's why this is so great. Because this is a conversation. You can listen to what I have to say and I listen to what you have to say. But everyone's like, this isn't right. What she said is not the way it should be. But like in reality, it's like if you really wanted views, bitch, you would just say, let's talk about this. Let's have a conversation. This is what I think. But what do you guys think? Do you think that she's having, which is where we are right now, I guess.
Yeah, where are these conversations? We got to have more of them.
This is like the only, one of its kind, because like this is what should be happening. It's not.
Well, that means so much to me. And Joey, I have one more question for you before you go.
Hi.
Here at the Conversationalist and on POVz, our mission is to unify the world. We want to bring people closer together, not so we can all agree and hold hands and sing Kumbaya, but truly to share experiences, understand each other's viewpoints, and come back to the same table. So I'd love to know, in your own words, what does unifying mean to you?
Unifying means having a general understanding for each other's other point of views and trying to listen to everyone's point of views and having an open mind to how maybe somebody else's views can be integrated into your own somehow, some way, and still work. I know that's kind of like in a perfect world, but like, why not shoot for that? Why not try and aim to have these conversations and try and have people to be a little bit more open-minded, babe?
Yeah.
We all need to be a little bit more open-minded. Stop taking everything so serious and start opening up your hearts, opening up your minds, and, keep the toxic people out. Period.
I couldn't agree more, Joey. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Being a part of POVz.
Hi,
Get over here.
Thank you so much.
You're awesome.